Today we are going to be going over the steps of the forehand, just 3 simple steps so you can go on court and hit a better forehand. So the first step that you need to take is you need to make your initial turn. Now when you do your initial turn with a forehand, it's not just taking your racket back, it is taking your racket back and turning your body. Once again, when you make this turn, you need to think that you are taking your racket back, but then my body is also sideways. Now, how do we ensure that our body is proper sideways? How do we do that? We make sure that our hips are facing sideways. If I go to turn, my hips are facing forward, that means I'm not turned properly. So again, step 1, make sure that you're turned, racket back, and body is sideways. Now, number 2, we have to get the ball over the net. And this is where too many players struggle. They hit the ball into the net too many times. And that's because they're making contact above or at the height of the ball. So they are either swinging down on the ball or they're swinging forward on the ball. And if a ball is lower, right, because when I get a normal ball, guys, it's not going to just bounce and kick up at me. It's going to bounce and it's going to come lower. The ball after the bounce is going to be lower than the initial height of the ball. So if the ball is coming this high, it's going to bounce and it's going to be lower than this high. Make sense? So what you guys need to do to get that ball out of net is after you turn, you need to make sure that you drop the racket. Look, so after I turn and take my racket back, the next step is I want to drop my racket. Now, I want you to notice something when I drop my racket. Do you see? Look where the butt cap of my racket is pointing. It's pointing directly to you. And by pointing your butt cap towards the ball, it's going to ensure that your racket is in the proper position. Too many players, again, they swing to the side. Look, their butt cap's not to me. You need to take your racket back. You need to drop the racket, point the butt cap. So now, when you proceed with your swing, now you're going to get below the ball and come up. You're going to be going low to high instead of coming on top of the ball going in the net. So again, take back, step number 1. Then you're going to point your butt cap to the ball. That's step number 2. And then what's step number 3? You're going to let it go. As soon as you drop that racket, you're going to let the racket go. Now, too many players, they hesitate right now. I want you to think that as soon as you take your racket back and you drop, you're in the proper position that all you're going to do is exhale, stay loose, and follow through. Too many players, they hesitate, right? In tennis, to gain control, you have to give up control. The more you let the racket work for you, the less you work for the racket, the better it's going to be. Players, they miss the ball long, right? They get under the ball, they're not going to hit in the net, but they're going to miss it long because they tense up. Maybe it's their nerves, maybe they want to hit the living snot out of the ball. Instead, you need to just, as soon as you drop, you need to let that racket go as fast as you can. Breathe, exhale, hold that racket loose, and you will be able to get a good forehand. So again, when you go out to hit a forehand, I want you to think 3 simple steps. Number 1 is the take back, not just the racket, it's our body as well. Number 2 is the drop, to ensure that instead of coming on top of the ball, we're getting under the ball, swinging low to high, proper swing path. And step number 3, we're letting that racket go, accelerating and hitting a good forehand into the court. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comments below. I put the link to the description for the Instantly Improve My Forehand ebook, topspin consistency, control, more power, every single thing that I teach that works for over 1,000+ students. You name it, it's in that book. Make sure to check it out in the description. Have a good one, guys. Get some better forehands and happy hitting.